Today, everybody. Today I'm going to do a chapter called ray optics. So before I do this topic or chapter, I would like to give you a brief introduction about ray optics. So let's go something like this. Let's say optics. So optic is a study about, or scientific studies about sight. Sight, which means it is related to light. Without light, we can see. So therefore, what we are going to do here in this chapter is we are going to see optics in terms of ray. Alright? Normally I say optics can be in form of ray optics. We can have optics, wave optics, or we can have optics, electromagnetic wave optics. Alright, so we have all these three, right? We have ray pictures of optics, wave pictures of optics, and electromagnetic wave pictures of optics. Alright, so using all this concept or pictures, we can able to explain the phenomena related to light, right? So ray could able to explain some phenomena of light, and this wave picture could able to explain some more phenomena of light, and electromagnetic wave pictures explains some more pictures of light. So in this chapter, we are going to stress on ray optics. And next chapter, we are going to focus on wave optics. Alright? So this looks very similar, right? Wave optics and electromagnetic wave optics. These two are same, but then the difference is this wave optics, alright, we are going to study a wave in terms of waveforms, which is much easier to understand. And electromagnetic wave optics you may study in higher classes. So in class 2, you are going to study these two light pictures, ray pictures of light and wave pictures of light. Alright, now optics is something that is related to sight, that is vision. Alright, now when I say vision, or when I say sight, we can see every electromagnetic waves. We say the light is a form of energy, and light is electromagnetic wave, and the light that we see is not comes under, doesn't includes all the electromagnetic waves. Alright, so when I talk about electromagnetic waves, it comes from gamma radiation to long radio wave. Alright. So when I talk about light that we can see, alright, comes in a small range of these long electromagnetic spectrums. Alright, when I say a light that we see, normally comes from a 400 nanometer to 750 nanometer. This wavelength. So the light, we could see a light of a range from 400 nanometer to 750 nanometer. Alright. Now, what I'm going to do is, we will do a little introduction about ray optics. So when I say a light, we see a two very basic property of light, and I hope every student knew that. Light, I say the speed of light is very, very high, extremely high, approximately equal to 10 raised by 8 meter per second. And we also knew that light travels in straight lines. Light travels straight lines. Light travels in straight lines. Now there is some contradictions. We see the light is wave in nature. Now how come wave, one that is in the wave in nature travels in straight lines? However, when I talk about lights whose wavelength is extremely very small compared to what we see, right? So therefore, we consider light that is traveling along a straight. Alright? The term ray, which we have given this chapter, is nothing but a part of light. So ray means a path that goes straight. The ray means one that goes straight. So therefore, we say that ray optics. Alright? That means the light that travels straight. Alright? And if I take a light as a ray concept, we could able to explain some more concept or some more phenomena, right? So we say phenomena such as reflections, refraction, and dispersions. So these are the phenomena which can be explained by ray concept. Alright? So in this chapter, what we are going to do is, we are taking light as a ray and trying to explain reflections, refractions, and dispersion. Alright? So before I start, I would like to start with reflection of light. So this is the first topic which we are going to discuss. Reflection of light. Reflection of light. So now I would like to ask you, where reflection takes place? Alright. So what are the different types of reflections? Alright. Normally speaking, we have two types of reflections. Maybe you have studied in a lower class. Alright. We see a regular reflections. That means the reflection where reflection is taking place on a smooth surface. Reflections is taking place on a smooth surface is what we call as regular reflection. And we have again diffuse reflections. Alright. Diffuse reflection is reflection normally taking place on a rough surface. I will say this is from a smooth surface, and diffuse reflections are the reflection where it is taking place on a rough surface. Alright, so I am not going to discuss reflection taking place on a rough surface, or that is diffuse reflections. I am going to stress only on reflection taking place on a smooth surface, that is what we call as regular reflections. So I'm going to learn this. Now, regular reflections. So now I would like to ask you, where that regular reflection take place? Yes, answer is sure, smooth surface. So normally we consider two such surface. One is interface surface. Interface between two media, right? Interface surface between two media. This is a regular reflection take place. Another one is a polished surface mirror, and we are going to study reflections taking place from a mirror and reflection taking place on an interface surface between two media. Alright, so I am going to discuss first reflection taking place on a mirror. Alright, reflection taking place on a mirror. Alright, so before I start this, I will start with a most fundamental concept of reflection of light. Alright, that means lowest of reflections. Whether it is a diffuse reflections or it is a regular reflections, the phenomenon called reflections is undergoing laws of reflections. Alright. So laws of reflections, the laws of reflections governs reflection of light. Alright. So I'm going to first do what are the laws of reflections, right? So we have a simple law. Alright. So before that, I take this. This is a mirror. Let's say a plain mirror. This is mirror. This is a mirror. And I have an incident light. So incident light is the light that comes from source. Let's say this is a source. This is incident light. When an incident light falls on a mirror, that is a reflecting surface. This surface is called a reflecting surface. When an incident light falls on the reflecting surface, it undergoes reflections. Alright. And it undergoes reflections such that, look at here, very simple. I'm going to do a normal line. This is angle of incident, this is angle of reflections. Alright. This angle is this slight little problem. I'll write like this, little better, right? So, first laws of reflection says that reflections are taking place such that angle of incidence is always equal to angle of reflections. Alright, this is angle of incidence, this is angle of reflections. So reflections are taking place such that angle of incidence is always equal to angle of reflections. What is the angle of incidence? That is angle subtended between normal line. Let's say I just write here normal line. And normal line. Normal line has to draw on a reflecting surface. Alright. So the angle subtended between the incident ray and a normal line is called angle of incidence. Angle subtended between reflected ray and normal line is called angle of reflection. So first law says that angle of incidence must be equal to angle of reflections. Now second law says that incident light incident ray, reflected ray, normal line to the reflecting surface. This is very important term at the point of incidence. Are all lie on same plane. Alright, so that means this law says that this incident ray and this reflected ray and this normal line are all lying on this plane. The plane I am going to say here is this is the whiteboard. Whiteboard is a plane and all the two rays and the one lines should lie on a same place. That means such a reflection is not possible. This is a line that doesn't lie on this surface. So this should be line. So every reflection should obey these two laws. Alright. So first law, angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflections. Second, all two rays and one line should lie on same plane. Alright. Now applying this, we will discuss reflection at plane view. That means image formation. Alright. Image formations. So first I would like to do a plane mirror. First I would like to do a plane mirror. And is normally speaking we have two types of mirror. And one is called a plane mirror. Another one is called spherical mirror. Alright. These are the two types of mirror. Based on its shape. The plane mirror means the reflecting surface is plane, and the spherical mirror means the reflecting surface is curved. And curve could be either curved in this way or curved in that way. Alright. So we have two types of mirror, plane mirrors and spherical mirrors. And the spherical mirror has again two types, concave mirrors and convex mirrors. That I will discuss later. So first I will discuss plane mirror. I say, actually this is not there in our chapter, this is very basic, but then for the sake of reflections or revisions, I am going to do this. I have a plane mirror, I have a line like this. This is a horizontal line. And I have an object. This is object. Normally we prefer taking a point object rather than extended object. Let's say this is BA, and light has to come from an object. Light has to come from an object. Normally we define what is object. Object is something that emits light, and once that light enters into our eye, we could see light. We could see object. Once light enters into our eye, we could see object. Alright, so that shows that without reflections, we can't see the object. We won't be able to enjoy a beautiful pictures, right? So this is all due to reflections, right? So let's give me this example. Very simple example. I have an object that is BA. I take a light from A. This is incident ray, and this reflection has to obey laws of reflections. Angle of incident is 0, and angle of reflection must be 0. And then I have this. Alright. And this angle must be equal to this angle. Now I say that image has to form. Image has to form, right? So now, since this reflected rays and that reflected ray can't meet, so therefore what we normally do is, this is taught in the lower class, right? So I'm going to extend. And extend this reflected ray, and I'm going to extend this reflected ray, and somewhere these two extended reflected ray meet at the points, and I call this is the image. B prime, A prime. So this is how image formation takes place. Alright. And look at here. So this is for a plane mirror. Alright. If I just tell you something about the image formations, the size of image AB is equal to A prime, B prime. And I say the object distance is equal to image distance. Alright, and the nature of image is a virtual image. I'm going to define what is virtual image later, right? And then the object size of object is equal to size of image, and image is a virtual erect, and image distance is equal to object distance. And one more thing is, image is lateral inversion. I will say lateral inversion. And you will say, what is that lateral inversions? Maybe you are taught in class 10. So that means, let's say I'll give you an example of B. Alright? When you see through plane mirror, you would rather see like this. And this is lateral inversions. Laterally inverted. Alright? Laterally inward, not transverse inward, right? This is laterally inward. So therefore, these are the nature of image, alright? The image formed by plane mirror. And this is the taught in a lower class, alright? So our discussion is on spherical mirror, right? So look at here. And before I do image formation on a spherical mirror, right? I would like to talk about types of image: real image and virtual image. When I talk about image, real image, and then if I ask you what is real and what is virtual, I'm sure you will answer like real image is an image where it requires a screen, right? It normally forms on the screen, and virtual image is a one which doesn't form on the screen. All right, and maybe you will define something like real image is an image that forms in front of a mirror, and virtual image is the one that forms behind mirror. Yes or true. Right, these things are taught in lower class. Now, same concept but explained in a different way. So, real image, normally images are formed by minimum 2 reflected light. 2 reflected light coming from a same point source. When the 2 reflected light, when the 2 actual reflected light, right, coming from a same source, meet at any point, and that intersection of the 2 actual reflected light forms real image. So that requires actual reflected light, minimum 2 actual reflected light that comes from same point source. That is very important. You have to say same point source. Light has to come from the same point source. Reflected light has to come from the same point source. Now when I say a virtual image, now here we are not going to say actual reflected light, rather we say extended reflected light. We are going to extend the reflected light which I have done in case of a plane mirror, and some real image and real image formation take place. So this is the difference. Virtual, so therefore virtual image is a virtual. Alright? Normally it doesn't take place, it appears. Virtual images, it appears. Real image means actually it is taking place. So this is different between real image and virtual image. Alright, now I would like to explain about a spherical mirror. Alright, when I say a spherical mirror, it appears like, should be something like a sphere. Yeah, honestly, right? Yes, it is. Alright, it is a small portion of a sphere. Alright, let's say I have a big sphere. It has to be big, very, very big. Alright, I have alright, here. So, this is a big sphere. This is another big sphere. Now when I say a spherical mirror, I am going to cut a small portion of big sphere. I am going to cut a small portion of big sphere. Let's say I have this all reflecting surface is outside and that poly surface is inside. Look at here. Now if I cut a small portion, yes, I have done it. And I bring this and put here. So this is a small portion of big sphere. And that small portion of big sphere is what we call as, this is what we call as concave mirror. You see a curvature like this. Alright? And if I say, if a reflecting surface is, either one is reflecting surface, if either one is reflecting surface, let's say I draw here. If an inner surface is reflecting surface, Alright? And I cut a small piece. Let's say I cut a small piece. When I cut a small piece, I get something like this. So look at here. This is the reflecting surface. This is the reflecting surface. So these two are opposite. And this is what we call as concave. And this is what we call as convex. That we have studied in geometry. Alright? That we have studied in geometry. This is called a concave mirror. This is called a convex mirror. So I will give you some a basic fundamental points regarding spherical mirror. Say, in case of a spherical mirror, we have something called a polar mirror. So polar mirror is the one which we define as the center of a mirror. This is the polar mirror, geometrical center of the mirror. And then I have a series of center of curvatures. That means when it was in a sphere forms, and there is a center, and that is exactly what we call as a center of curvatures. And I say if I draw a line between C and B, and the line is what we call as principle of axis. This line is what we call as principle of axis. Alright. And the distance between C and B is what we call as radius of curvature. Radius of curvature. And then maybe later we'll define what is focus. And same for this also. Alright. Now look at here. I have two different spheres. Let's say I'll take a concave. This is a big sphere, and this is again another big sphere, not a little smaller than this. Alright, and I have this is non-reflecting surface. Inner one is not reflecting surface. Alright, now if I cut a same portion, let's say I've cut like this small portion, I've cut like this surface, I just get one circular portion of this big sphere, and that big sphere, this is having a radius r, this is having a radius r prime. If I cut a same portion, then my portion to you is which surface will be having greater curvature. Alright. So I'm sure answer would be this will be having a greater curvature. Greater curvature. And this will be having a less. Question is why? This has R is less than R prime. Alright. So this is more curvature. This is going to be a less curvature. So therefore the curvature of a mirror, whether it is a convex or concave, is all defined by radius of curvature. If radius of curvature is smaller, then curvature is greater. If radius of curvature is greater or bigger, then curvature is going to be less. Alright. And then you look as was that, right? What about then plane mirror? What about then plane mirror? Then I'm sure maybe in class 10 you've done it. How much is curvature now? It is a plane surface. And obviously the curvature is going to be infinite. So therefore we say that what about curvature for plane mirror? No curvature. Zero curvature implies radius of curvature is infinite. Alright. So this is all about two types of mirror. Alright, now I would like to do sign conventions. Very important. This is what we call as sign conventions. I will tell you why we require sign conventions. Sign conventions. Alright. So, sign convention is very, very important, very essential for understanding image formations. Alright. So, we follow, in this textbook follows what we call as a Cartesian sign conventions. Convention. This is Cartesian sign convention. Let's say I will explain this in a very simple word. So now what we are going to do is number one. Alright? That means when I say yes, we are going to adopt sign convention means we are going to make a uniform. Alright? You can't get this sign convention, you can't get that. We have to follow a common sign convention. Alright, so that image formation would remain same. Alright? What you study image formation must be equal to what your friends studied. Right? So therefore, the first very important point regarding the sign convention is where object should be. Where object should be. So the one very first important point is object should be at left. Alright? That means you can't keep mirror like this. And keep object like this is a right. Alright? So once you follow sign conventions, your object has to be at left or in front of reflecting surface, not non-reflecting surface. So point one, object should be at left or in front of reflecting surface. This is the first common thing we have to keep in mind. Now once the object is at this side, now this should be an object. A, B is an object. Now the sign convention says that we have to measure a distance from polar mirror. Alright? We have to measure distance from polar mirror. Alright? Distance should be measured from polar mirror. Alright? So we say that polar mirror is taken like an origin. Alright? And then we say that this is the direction of incident light. Alright? If the distance measure is along the incident light, that's this distance measure is along the incident light, and this distance is taken as positive sign. This distance is taken as positive sign. Alright? There's no logic, but then this is convention. Alright? If the distance measure is taken opposite to incident of light, then such a distance is taken as negative. Alright? So whenever you measure from B toward object side, this has to be negative. Distance measure must be negative. And whenever you measure distance behind mirror, and the distance measure must be positive. And another point is, if the distance, if a height is upward, alright, from principal axis or above principal axis, we are taking it as a positive sign. If a height is downward or inverted, then we are going to take it as a negative. Alright, so this is the simple sign convention, and the detailed explanation I have done this in the notes. Alright, so this is sign convention, and we will follow these sign conventions and study image formations. Our aim is to study image formation. Alright, so this is sign convention. Now I would like to do a focus. Say, let's say, before I do this is incident light, this is the principal axis, This is a center parameter. This is a polar mirror. Alright. And this is concave mirror. And this is convex mirror. A center parameter has to be behind. Alright. And then this is a polar mirror. And you know that a concave mirror is the one that is converging in nature. The light undergo converging. And convex mirror is the one where light undergo diverging. Therefore, maybe in the lower class we say this is called a converging mirror. And this is what we call as diverging mirror. Alright. Now, when I discuss a focus, alright, I take a paraaxial ray. Alright. I will take paraaxial. This is very important concept. Very important concept. Therefore, sometimes this study is what we call as paraaxial ray optics. Sometimes we call it as paraaxial ray optics. What is the reason? We are going to take only paraaxial ray. Alright? Image formations are taken by paraaxial ray. Incident paraaxial ray. Now I will learn what is paraaxial ray. Alright? What is paraaxial ray? So the paraaxial rays are the ray, right, which incidents on a mirror very close to P. Alright? So therefore, you can take every incident ray. You can take particular incident ray, alright, which incidents on a mirror very close to P. Alright? And you would ask me, what is the problem if I take a ray that is incident on a peripheral sites? My answer would be, then this will have some problem, like, ray doesn't go like, image doesn't form like what we see. Alright? So, again, the deeper answer is there may be going on stop. Alright? So, therefore, we are going to take only paraaxial ray. So, therefore, this is not done in our textbook, but then, if you go higher classes, you may say that this optic is what we call as paraaxial ray optics. Why? We take only paraaxial ray. Yes, now I say, when I take a paraaxial ray, parallel to the prism light, these are the paraaxial rays, which are parallel to the prism axis, and all the reflected lights meet at point on the prism axis, and this point is what we call as a focus. We call it a focal point. Focal point is a meeting point. Reflected lights are meeting at that point. Then the paraaxial ray parallel to the prism axis. Alright? And this is what we call as a focal point. And in case of a convex mirror, ray doesn't pass through like this. Why? Because this is opaque, obviously. So therefore, extended ray. I extend this, I all extended reflected ray meet at the point on the prism axis, and that point is what we call as focal point. So this is the focal point, and that is the focal point. The distance is what we call as a focal length. Length, alright, which is normally defined by f. This is distance between f and p. This is focal length. Now you may come across something like, what is focal plane? Now here in this case, what I am going to take is, I take a paraaxial ray which is not parallel to the prism axis, which makes some angle in the prism axis. Alright? When such a parallel reflected lights, such a reflected light doesn't meet at the prism axis, and they meet at some points and lie in a focal plane. This is focal plane. Focal plane, very simple definition. Focal plane is a plane. Focal plane is a plane which is perpendicular to the prism axis. Alright, passing through a focal point. Alright, so such a point on this focal point focal plane. I say this is the point where meeting of two reflecting take place, and that plane which we have done is nothing but focal plane. Alright. So therefore the one thing very clear is that the ray which is coming from infinity, why? Rays are parallel. Alright? If the rays are from infinity, either ray meets reflected ray meets at over focus at focal point or at focal plane. So this is a very simple concept, right? So focal points or focal focus is the meeting points, reflected ray meeting points. And again you should be keep in mind, all these rays come from the same object. All these rays come from the same object. And you won't argue me that, so how come ray from the same object comes parallel? Answer is very simple. Those objects are at infinity. If objects are infinities, the ray appears parallel when it's thrown to the mirror. Alright, so this is one point. Now, we would like to discuss the types of ray before we do image formations. Types of ray. Types of ray. Both for convex as well as concave. Normally, you can say there are infinite number of rays, right? But we normally classify 4 types of ray. Number 1, maybe this is done in your class, right? Type number 1. I will draw ray diagrams, maybe better. I will draw both. This, alright. For concave mirror, I have, this is concave mirror, and this is a focal point, this is a center of curvatures, alright, and then this is like this. This is the incident ray parallel to principal axis. If incident ray is parallel to principal axis, then reflected ray passes through focal point. This is ray number 1. This is ray number 1. Alright. Now for convex, again very simple. This is focal point, this is center of curvature. Alright. And this undergo reflections and reflected rays, extended reflected ray pass through focal points. This is first type of ray. And second type of ray is, I will use a red pen. If incident ray pass through a focal point, if incident ray pass through a focal point, then reflected ray is parallel to principal axis. This is ray number 2. Likewise, here in this case, I have, if an incident ray pass through the focal points, I have here focal point, center of curvatures. Let's say, I'm sorry, let's say it's coming like this. Extended incident ray pass through focal points. This is normalized, and reflected ray must be parallel to principal axis. This is ray number 2. And ray number 3 goes something like this. If incident ray passes to a center of curvature, then reflected ray retrace that. Alright, this is center of curvatures, this is center of curvature, this is the focal points. Like here, I write here, this is number 2, this is number 1, this is like this. Pass through the center of curvatures, this is the focal focal points, and this is refractive base. And now third type of ray is very simple. I'm going to use these diagrams. If a reflected ray falls at a polar mirror, I'm going to write pole. I'm sorry, pole mirror. If a reflected ray falls on a polar mirror with some angles, and this obeys laws of reflections. Ray number 4. Likewise, if a reflected ray instead on a polar mirror, then this is ray number 4. So these are the 4 types of ray, and image formation we are going to take only 2 out of 4, and then we see image formation. Alright, so now I will do the relationship between focal length and center of curvature, or radius of curvature. Relationship between focal length and radius of curvatures. I say a relationship between let's say, I'm not this time, say relationship between radius of curvature and focal length. I'm sure you all know that R is equal to 2F. I'm going to do this. Alright, very simple here. I take a ray. I can take a concave lens as well as convex lens. Alright. Maybe you can do this in case of a convex lens. I'm doing here concave lens. You can do it using a convex lens. Alright. Now this is the center of curvature. This is the focal points, and I take a normal lines. So again, one thing is that normal line I was taken from a center of curvature. Why? Because this become radius of curvature. Alright. Say this is angle theta. This must be angle theta. Why? Because laws of reflections. Incident angle must be equal to angle of reflections. So this must be angle theta, this must be 2 theta, ultimate angle that we have done in our geometry in the lower class. Now let's say this is a C and this is a P. Let's say this is some point N, alright, and this is point P. Alright. Now in case of ray optics, and this is sometimes again called as geometrical optics. Geometrical optics. Now we have so many ways, right? Parallel ray optics, geometrical optics. Why geometrical optics? You require geometry. Alright? You require ray and you just go on and drawing so many triangles, so many angles. Alright? So now this is a parallel ray. So angle theta must be very small. Alright? So now I take a 2 right triangle, let's say. I take a 2 right triangles, right triangle, let's say NPC. Alright? And you would argue with that, yes, this can't be right triangle, but I consider this as a right triangle. So thereby we choose we can get a big curvature and we take some curvature. This distance doesn't make much difference. Why? Because this distance is very small compared to focal length and radius of curvature, right? So let's say I take right triangles NCP. Alright, right triangle NCP. Maybe it is not that visible. NCP. And what is tan theta? Tan theta is equal to height divided by base PM divided by PC. And again I take the right triangles. Right triangle NFP. And again I take a tan 2 theta is equal to PM divided by PF. Alright. Now I'm going to take approximations. Why? Because this angle theta is very small. Why angle theta is very small? This is parallel ray. So therefore I'm going to take this as a theta. equal to Pm divided by Pc. This is taken as a 2 theta divided by Pm divided by Pf. Alright. Now, these are the two equations. I'm sure you can solve these two equations. And when I solve these two equations, I just write here angles are same. Then you write like this: theta Pm theta into by Pc is equal to Pm. Very simple simplifications. 2 theta multiplied by Pf is equal to Pm. So these right hand sides are equal, and I equal these two equations. Theta Pc is equal to 2 theta Pf. So theta cancel out. Then what is Pc is equal to 2 Pf. What is Pc? Pc is the radius of curvature. And what is Pf? Is a focal length. Yes, this is simple proof. And again, one more point you should keep in mind is that ray has to be para-axial ray. Otherwise, we can't prove this. Why? Because since this is a para-axial ray, theta is very small. So therefore, for a very small theta, tan theta is equal to theta. Alright. So this is how we prove that radius of curvature is equal to twice the focal length. Okay, now I would like to do Miller equation. So we are going to derive Miller equations, and this equation help us to understand the nature of image formation. Alright. So a Miller equation is a mathematical equation which gives a relation between object distance, image distance, and focal length. Alright. So now I would like to derive a Miller equations. Alright. So I will have this ray diagram to derive Miller equations. So look at here now. This is simple, right? Because we are going to use a geometry. Alright. So this is an object AB. BA is an object. And B prime, A prime is an image, and C is a center of curvature, F is a focal length, P is polar mirror. Alright, so the image is a diminish since the object lies between infinity and center of curvature. Alright, now F is a focal length, U is object distance, and V is image distance. Alright, now to derive this, I'm going to take two similar triangles. First, I'm going to take is right triangle. Take two similar right triangles. Alright, right triangles. I say right triangle APB and right triangle, I'll write like this, right? Right triangle A prime P B prime. And these two right triangles are similar right triangles, two similar right triangles. Alright, that's property, right? Angles property. And if two right triangles, if these two right triangles are similar triangles, then using a basic proportion theorems in Lagrange class 10, using the ratio of two sides are proportional or equal, right? So I say, since these two right triangles are similar, I take B prime A prime is equal to, divided by BA is equal to B prime divided by B. This is equation number 1. Why? Because I just write BPT. Theorem that is done in class 10. Basic proportional theorem, right? So this is that since these two triangles are similar and ratio of two sides, corresponding sides are equal, right? And now second I will take triangle, right triangle. I take this right triangle, this right triangle and that right triangle. Again two similar right triangle. Right triangle, let's say M and F, E, and right triangles A prime, F, B prime. Again, similar triangle. So therefore, ratio of corresponding sides are equal. B prime, A prime divided by M is equal to F B prime divided by P F. Now again I say what is F B prime? F B prime is equal to P B prime minus P F. Alright? F B prime is equal to P B prime minus P F. I just write this and I make it equation number 2. And I just make it equation number 2. Make it equation number 2. And I equate these two equations. And before I equate this, I say Pm is equal to BA. Pm is equal to BA, right? Pm is equal to BA. Alright? Taking this, I say I just comparing two equations. Equation 1 and equation 2, I can write PB prime divided by PB is equal to PB prime is equal to PB prime divided by PB is equal to PB prime minus PBF divided by PF. Alright. Now I'll just simplify this. This is equal to B prime divided by PF minus 1. And after simplifying, I just say B prime divided by PF is equal to B prime divided by PB plus 1. Alright? And then, now I'm going to use a sign convention. Alright? Or else I'll do one more step. PB primes, B prime divided by PF is equal to B prime plus PB divided by PB. Alright? Now I use the sign conventions. So sign convention says that EB prime is minus B and PB is minus U. Why? Because this is at left side. And now PF is equal to minus F. Now applying sign conventions, minus V divided by minus F is equal to minus V minus, what is that? Minus V minus U divided by minus U. Alright? Again simplifying, Again simplifying, all goes off. This is equal to v minus v plus u divided by u. 1 by f is equal to v minus plus u divided by vu, which is equal to 1 by u plus 1 by v. Or else I write this final equation: 1 by f is equal to 1 by v minus plus 1 by u. This is mirror equation. This is what we call as mirror equation. So this is how you relate object distance, image distance, and focal length. This is now you can, if you know object distance and image distance, object distance and focal length, you can predict where would be image. You can predict where would be image. All right. Maybe in the lower class we found image by using a ray diagram. Now in this case you don't need a ray diagram. You use equation and can easily find out image distance and also focal length. Right? Now this is mirror equation, and now I would like to do a magnifications. Alright? So magnifications. So magnification is denoted by n. It is defined as the ratio of image size and object size. Image size is h prime, then object size is h, and this ratio is what we call as magnification. This is magnifications. Right? Now what we are going to find out is how magnification is related to object distance and image distance. This is what I am going to derive. Alright? So image mirror equation is done. Now I take this triangle again, two similar triangle. Alright? Again I take two similar triangle. Right triangle, again I just say ABB, and right triangle A prime B prime, and these two are similar triangle, and again the ratio of corresponding sides are equal. So therefore I just say B prime A prime divided by BA is equal to B prime equal to BB. Now I use the sign conventions. What is B prime A prime? Must be minus H prime. It is inverted. Must be minus H primes. What about BA? This is H. Why? Because it is erect and upward. And what is B prime? It is minus me. What is PB? It is minus U. Now I just say this minus and H prime divided by H is equal to minus V by U. Alright. Now since the magnification is equal to H prime divided by H. Since the magnification is equal to H prime divided by H, so M is equal to H prime divided by H, which is equal to V divided by U. So now I can rewrite this magnification is equal to minus V by U. So now we could be able to figure out magnification in terms of image distance and object distance. Image distance and object distance. Alright? So minus V by U. Alright? So, alright. Now this is image formations for conjugate mirror. Now all this image formation can be explained by using mirror equations, right? But in our lower class we study image formations. So look at here. If object is at infinity, image forms at focal point, and the size of image is highly diminished, and the nature of image is real, And now say, this is the point when an object lies between C and infinity, image is diminished, but it is a real image. Alright, it is a real image and it is diminished and the image is inverted. Alright, so if object is at C, then on image must be at C, it is a real is always inverted. Alright, and likewise it goes like this. Now, unlike this is here, if object is at focal point, image forms at infinity, and highly inverted. Now things will change if I put object between focal point and a polynomial. And then image is a virtual. Look at here, the image forms behind mirror, and image is inverse, but it is virtual. Alright, inverse but virtual. Now I have a convex mirror. Convex mirror has only two types of image formations. If object is at infinity, image forms at focal point is highly diminished. And if the object is lying between these two, image forms between P and F. And image is always diminished. Image is always diminished. And the difference between the virtual image formed by concave and convex is that virtual image formed by concave is always inverted. However, the virtual image formed by convex is always diminished. Image doesn't form beyond F. Image is always diminished. And we don't need to work out all these ray diagrams. Once you know mirror equation, you can easily work out. Alright, so therefore, whenever we talk about virtually real image, alright, V is always negative. Alright, and H prime is always negative. Why? It is always inverted. And therefore, magnification is always negative. This is the simple, way to remember. And if image is virtual image, then V is always positive, and F is erect, positive, and magnification is always positive. And you can prove this using mirror equation. Alright. Now, this is the home assignments. This is a very interesting problem. Alright. So this is the mirror that they use is a convex mirror, and you see how as a person comes closer to a mirror, how speed changes, right? So that you should keep in mind. And solve this problem. If you can refer textbook also. This is an interesting problem. And then finally, you just go and visit this link, and you will find my notes. And I've done great detail about this ray optics. Alright, so with this I'm going to wind up this topic, and next class I'm going to discuss reflection of light. The first part is done, that is reflection of light, and now next class I'm going to do reflection of light. Okay, thank you.